East Chicago is a city rich in ethnic flavor, but how much is known about the history, culture, and civic achievements of the city's different ethnic groups?
They brought me several books of history of East Chicago. So at this particular time, I thought about, well, let me look and see what's in here about blacks. There was less than a paragraph in the three books that I looked into um, about blacks. And here we have been here since 1903. And with the population at the particular time at one-third black, one-third Latin, one-third Caucasian, I thought that this was an in-service as far as knowledge of what blacks had done for the city of East Chicago.
This past June, in conjunction with the Indiana Committee for the Humanities and the National Endowment for the Humanities, the city held a 3-day celebration of historical black achievement in East Chicago. Part of that celebration was personal reflections by founders, motivators, and achievers of East Chicago's black community.
This is the first time in the history blacks has ever chose any type of program of this sort. And as far as the Hispanics have their day, the Puerto Ricans have their day, the Serbians have their day. Everybody has his day, but the blacks had never took the initiative to really search their history and see what's going on and declare a day. And I can say that the mayor was very pleased, and he also presented a proclamation that the 18th, 19th, and 20th would be Awareness Weekend for blacks.
Bessie Daniels Owens was the first black school teacher in East Chicago. She remembers what it was like.
Well, East Chicago was a city of nationalities.
Mm-hmm. Has it changed much?
Very little. In fact, some of the nationalities have altogether disappeared. And now it's yet a city of nationalities, but I find the Spanish prominent.
Mrs. Owens lives in California now, but her influence is still felt in East Chicago, and one of the city recreation centers is named after her. She taught elementary education and recalls some of her former students in fondest memory.
But I remember my very first pupils was the Thompson children, and the youngest boy now is an artist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
William Thompson, he was one of my first students here. I also remember quite a few other. One became a principal of one of the schools, and that was Monroe Walton.
Mm-hmm.
He became a principal of one of the schools here, and now retired.
What do you think about the school system now, compared to to the way it was when you were teaching in it?
Oh, it's wonderful. You can hardly believe it's the same.
Her work extended beyond helping children. Bessie Daniels Owens organized the first Colored Women's Federated Club.
Well, Mrs. Mamie Armistead was really the starting of the women's club here. But we found that there was very little for the women to do. And this organization was more or less for rather a getting together of the women so that we would know one another. And we found it to be, at first, it was just really everyone was so very interested that we could hardly find places for them to meet.
Later, she organized the City Federation of Colored Women Clubs.
Oh, yes, we are, because just now, a little girl who was formerly, a woman who was formerly just a child here is now national president, mm-hmm. Mrs. Otelia Champion. Mm-hmm. As people knew her as Otelia Simpson. And Mrs. Brown, the ex-national president, is well known in the city because Mrs. Armistead was a relative of Mrs. Brown's. And she was the one who really interested the women of this city in women's clubs.
Bessie Owens Women Federated Clubs did much for the city. Today, black women take an active part in civic affairs through sorority involvement. Dr. Ann Holland, principal of Carrie Gosh Elementary School, is active in Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
We have gotten involved in a lot of volunteer work. Some of the work we started has now been picked up by other agencies. When I first joined the graduate chapter in East Chicago, we provided free milk for children in the schools. It was brought to our attention that they were not getting breakfast, proper food. Now that has been picked up by the government. We also sponsored a dental program. Several of the dentists examined the children's teeth, provided toothbrushes, toothpaste. Now that has been picked up by the school city. So we were instrumental in pioneering a lot of projects for the underprivileged that now are taken over by larger agencies.
James McKinney was one of the first blacks to be appointed to the city's Human Rights Commission. James McKinney migrated to East Chicago at an early age.
When I came here in 1928, there was no political activity in East Chicago for the Negroes. The Negro leaders here in East Chicago that were politically designated had to go to Gary in order to get their money from the Negroes and Negro leadership in Gary. And that's the way they hired colored voters. And it was really pathetic. We didn't have any breaks whatsoever. I remember the times when Negroes were hired in East Chicago to work in the political campaigns. They had to go to Michigan Avenue and line up out there 2 or 3 blocks and march up in a little office on Michigan Avenue to get their pay. At that time, Negro leadership in East Chicago, they wasn't allowed to pay their workers off. The white man had to pay them. And that's one of the things. So we had to fight on down. And but nowadays, we didn't have no Negroes in any kind of outstanding positions in those days. And eventually, working on up and eliminating many of the difficulties that we were having here, well, we finally cleared up many things until we commenced breaking through. And so now politically, we have quite a number of Negro leaders in politics. Some has risen from nothing up to commissioners, county commissioners. I think that's the highest grade that Negroes are in at present. And now we've made much progress in political activities here because we have Negroes in practically every office in East Chicago and the county of Lake.
In 1933, he lost his job with the U.S. Postal Service for defending human rights. He was an early organizer of the NAACP movement in East Chicago in 1938.
The ACP has done a wonderful job since all the branches of the state of Indiana got together and formed a conference of branches. And we're all working together, and that has made quite a bit of thrust on the government.
McKinney believes there is plenty to be done for human rights.
We haven't even gone through all of it. We have to put pressure on these politicians. And that's the only way, and we have to be together to put pressure on them. Then that's the way we're going to derive something. We have some radicals in our race, like others. When we find one, we eliminate him, put him out of commission, and get more people that will stand for it, for the things we need.
What do you think of what are those things that you really need?
Well, it's a hard matter to think now. We made so much progress with much grief until we have hit practically every facet of politics here in Lake County. But we had to use pressure to do that. The NAACP, along with other organizations, have to get together. They've been pulling together and fighting each other for leadership. And that's where we suffer most, in leadership.
Through all the problems with prejudice and hard times for East Chicago's black community, one major unifying force has been the church. Indeed, this 3-day exposition was supported by many black congregations.